and we have the First Lady of Australian Blues with us. We're chatting blues. We're playing blues. Fiona's got the cigar box again, so we're going to get another one. But I just want to ask her a couple of things, and I ask this to most of the people that I chat with. The most memorable moment in your wonderful career, like how many years are we talking? 25, 30?
25.
25.
Yeah, it's about that long since I had a proper job. So it's wonderful. I think I'm unemployable now.
So you would have played with legends. You've done so much. So what's a standout?
Oh, look, there has been a couple of wonderful moments. On one of the first people that I played with of the old school players was Bob Margolin, who of course was Muddy Waters' guitarist for a long time, and he sort of sledged me on stage. I saw him a couple of weeks ago at
still going strong.
At an awards ceremony in America a couple of weeks ago, and I reminded him, but he laughed. He kind of sledged me a little bit. He leaned in my ear and said something which is unrepeatable, and but it was great because what he was doing was he was actually pushing me. At the time I first met Bob, I had played more swing and New Orleans blues, and of course I came from a background. I started off playing as a country blues fingerpicker, but to be honest, I hadn't played much Chicago blues, and playing with Bob was really he made me dig in, and then I had a chance to play with Hubert Sumlin, and I always loved Chicago blues, but I always thought that it was far too muscular and masculine for me to tackle with any kind of authority. So to actually be playing with, when I first played with Hubert, I had got Chris Wilson to sing the Howling Wolf stuff on that tour, and at one of the sound checks Hubert said to me, Chris wasn't around, and I sang a bit of Smokestack Lightning, and he said, "You should sing that." And it was actually his encouragement that made me think, yes, this material is not often sung by, or played, certainly on guitar, by a woman, but that was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, meeting the legend that is Hubert Sumlin.
Oh yeah, and being hit on by Pinetop Perkins, but then he hit on a lot of women because he was a bit of a ladies' man.
He called you the best finger-picking guitarist since Memphis Mini, didn't he?
He did. I actually, one time I was on the road, he played a track on one of my albums. He recorded on a tune which I kind of wrote with him in mind called Old Time Ways.
And how old was he?
Oh, he was only young. He was 96. Yeah. And so I wrote this song, which was really a bit of a throwaway, fun song. It was a shuffle, Old Time Ways. It was basically just a bunch of metaphors, blues metaphors for sex, and Pinetop loved it, And but yeah, I said, do you want to play it again? And he went, nope. I want to go outside and smoke cigarettes. And one time I did go and visit him. He was living in Austin, Texas, and I went one time just to visit. And we went out to Nuno's, which was the nightclub he favoured downtown. And they always had a piano out ready for him if he ever turned up and he was around and things like that. And you know what? He sat there and sold CDs and smoked cigarettes inside like nobody else was allowed to but him. It's illegal to smoke inside, but he was the exception to the rule. And he in the end, and he got up and he played and he was singing and he was playing quite strongly. In the end, at about 1 or 2 in the morning, I got tired and went home. I left him there. He was still kicking on. So, I mean...
Old bluesman.
He's a poster boy for bad living.
Yeah. All right. Now, you've got the cigar box.
I have.
What are we going to do this time?
Oh, well, we're talking about blues. We may as well do a classic. And everything we've played so far this evening is my own original compositions. But, every now and again, it's good to throw in a classic. So let's boogie a while, shall we?
Why not?
Baby, please don't go.
absolutely wonderful. Just a classic, isn't it? And it never get sick of hearing it, and it's been done by so many people. But
it is. It's like I actually, there it is. I just lost it. Just lost a fingertip there.
Because you talked about it on your liner notes, didn't you? That so many people have done it, and you make it swing. You really, you swing it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a swing. It's funny because, I kind of, when I first got this 4-string cigar box, because for the first time, even if you play a bit of regular slide, once you've got something like this, for those of you who can't see this at home, it's a cigar box, which is very large. It's got a lump of wood, and the strings are very, very high, so you can't actually play it like a regular guitar. So you have to sit it on your lap and make a commitment to not fretting it at all. And so I was trying to work out what to do with it. As I said, it's only got 2 notes, so it's like a big power chord. And those kind of traditional melodies were some of the easiest things to first try and pick out on the... because it's like everything you know about guitar throw away. You've got different right-hand technique, different left-hand technique. So it's been an interesting challenge, and it's been interesting trying to make it sweet and find major things in it, So you actually can make it sort of sound sweet, but normally it wants to grunt.
To me, it's the sound of the delta. It's just it's the sound of blues. When I hear slide, cigar box slide, it's just like...
It's been, as I said, I got this instrument only a week or so before I recorded my Box and Dice album, which is where it first appears, and it's like it landed in my possession, and it was just like, wow, this thing is driving me crazy. How the hell do you drive it? And so it's sort of been a bit of an explosion of creativity trying to work out what to do with it.
Now, with the covers on the album, there's only 2. So we've just had Baby Please Don't Go. How hard is it to choose, like, of all the classics, to pick that one?
I don't know. It's like some of the classics have sort of picked themselves, and I guess with Baby Please Don't Go, because it is such a recognisable foundational blues song, and that was one of the first things I found on this instrument, and I'm still trying to build a repertoire on it, because it is quite particular. In general, though, I'd say that I mostly play original material, and it's nice sometimes to put in one cover to give some context to your own songs. And so, for example, for me, Smokestack Lightning has that connection because I got to play it with Hubert Sumlin, and because he encouraged me to sing it. And then there's a few things that have always just been perennial favourites, like I did a version of Magic Sam's Easy Babe on the Box and Dice album. It had been something that had been in my kind of live set a lot, and I'd never really got around to recording it, and it was something that people really related to at gigs.
Now, there's another cover on the CD, and you say it in the liner notes, and I'll say it too. It's one of the greatest Australian albums of all time. Forget about blues album. Forget about, if you haven't got this album in your collection, you are missing out big time. I'm talking about Live at the Continental from the wonderful Chris Wilson. It's a stunning piece of music.
It is a stunning piece of music, and the first time, Chris is a mate of mine. He's a wonderful musician and really interesting songwriter and vocalist. He's got wonderful sensibilities, and I must admit that when I first saw him, I was kind of scared of him. He looks like a big bear, and he can do very aggressive blues, and he can be really he's menacing on stage, and but he's really a very gentle and thoughtful person. He's certainly given me a lot of good advice over the years. I call him the Blues Buddha.
Yeah, I had the chance to sit down with him, and I did a half hour. I sat down with him for about half an hour and went through it. And yeah, he's an amazing musician. And so let's talk about this cover. We've got to spin it.
Yes. This is a song that, in fact, I had played a long time ago. There was a short-lived kind of offshoot from the Mojos, which was my first band.
Track 16, isn't it?
It's the final track.
It is.
Yes, we'd actually finished the session because this album was recorded essentially, I guess, a bit like a concert, because the nature of the audiophile recording, you had to just play songs and then move on. You know, it wasn't as if you played a song and then did the vocals and then overdubbed anything, because it just had to be a performance that was captured. So it actually wasn't planned to be on the album at all. It was a song that was in my repertoire a long time ago from an offshoot. There was the Hokum Gals, which was me and Kaz De La Rosa on harmonica. And then sometimes with Paula Dowes on washboard we had the Prairie Stompers, which was an occasional acoustic trio that did some things that were a little bit more country as well as blues, a bit more Americana, I guess. And I learnt this beautiful song of Chris Wilson's, Face in the Mirror, which I had heard on Live at the Continental. And really, I hadn't played it for about 10 years, and I'm guessing. And we were in the studio and we'd finished playing, and for some reason my husband was in the control room talking with Jan Mancuso, the co-producer, and Professor Keith Johnson, who was engineering. And they must have been talking about Australian music, and Steve said, play a song by Chris Wilson. And I started playing Face in the Mirror, and Denny on double bass and Jimmy on brushes. The guys just started playing along with me, and so this simple but beautiful version of Chris's gorgeous song was captured and made the album.